Where's your sheet at? Oh, shoot. Okay, so a vertical and a horizontal number line. That's all a coordinate plane is. And where do they intersect? Where do they cross? At the origin. At the origin, which is the point 0, 0. Right, guys? Okay, so that's the origin. They both cross at 0, so if you drew a number line and you said, yep, there's my number line, 0 is right there, and then that's my horizontal, this would be my vertical, 0 is right there, and then you grabbed them and made them intersect right there, bang, there's where you get your coordinate plane. Everybody see that? Okay, so that's the very basics of it. So even though coordinate planes kind of are hard for some students, overall, it's just a vertical number line and a horizontal number line. And we call that horizontal number line the what? Or not A, the what? Yep.
X-axis.
We call it the x-axis. And what do we call the vertical number line? Yes?
The y-axis.
The y-axis. So let's start here. Let's talk about how we know how to plot points. Let's begin there. Because I think that's where we've got to at least see. Hey, wait a minute. All right? We've got to just make sure we got that down. I think you do, but let's just check. So give me some techniques for remembering which one to plot first. So I give you the point, I don't know, I'll just make one up. Whoops. Let's say I did -6, 3. There's my point. Give me some techniques that I've taught you or you learned in 4th and 5th grade to help you to graph that point. Yeah?
Wait, you're talking about like this.
Sure.
The Superman has to run before he...
Superman has to run before he flies. I think my grandpa taught me that, and he learned that when he was an age. That's like the oldest one. Now Superman now kind of just goes straight up. Can't really use that anymore, but you guys get the point. You have to go right or left before you go up or down. That's one. Superman runs before he flies. Yes?
X always comes before Y in the alphabet.
X always comes before Y in the alphabet. Absolutely. So you know the X is the horizontal one, so you always got to take care of that first, because X comes first in the alphabet. Beautiful. Yes?
Don't forget that you go to the elevator and you go up.
That's the one that I made up. Anyway. And it's obviously my favorite. But what else? Give me another one. Yeah. An airplane. An airplane takes off in the runway and then eventually goes up. Okay? Now, all these are good. With Superman, with airplanes. What's the one negative, though, about this? I mean, last I checked, if an airplane takes off and it goes down, that's not always great.
Yeah, it's going to crash.
That's not good. So my point is, if my airplane is right here and it takes off and it goes down, my point is that method only teaches that it can only go up. But we should know it can go up or down. Okay, that brings me, oh, there's one more. It's, have you heard the one, I don't know which teacher taught this, but one of the elementary teachers have taught, you have to run to the woods before you climb the tree. Anybody ever heard that one? Once again, that one's fine. That's Mr. Legault. Okay, good. That's a good one too. But again, that tells you more going up. It's always going up, not going down. And you can do both, up or down. So I personally like the hospital or the hotel. I've said it both ways. When I walk into the front doors of a hospital, I got to either walk to the right or the left. Just kind of imagine it in your mind. If I'm walking this way, am I walking positive or negative? Positive. If I'm walking this way, am I walking positive or negative? That's your left. That's negative, right? So that would be negative. So when you walk into the hospital, you obviously got to figure out the room that you want to see or the floor you want to go to. So what you're going to do is you are first going to walk to that elevator. Then you're going to hit the button in the elevator. And that's going to tell you to go up or down. Everybody got that? Okay. So if I were to give you the point -6, 3, tell me what to do. Describe to me what I'm doing. How do I graph that point, Anna?
Well, you should start on the x-axis first and then find the negatives.
And we always start here, right?
Yeah.
Since that number is -6, is that telling me left of 0 or right of 0? Yes?
Left.
That's telling me left. Now, how many steps to the left? Yes?
6.
So that would be -6 right there, right? Now, that's not the point, but that's where you go to. Then, what am I going to hit once I get to that elevator? What number am I going to hit? Yes? Huh? 3. Yes, we're going to hit 3. Right there is my point. So I went left to -6 to 3. So it basically looks like this. I walk in the front door of the hospital. I got to go visit my cousin. Okay, so I'm there visiting my cousin. I'm going to take 6 steps to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to push the button to make the elevators come. The elevator comes, it opens up. I step in. Now I press 3. Now I'm going up to the 3rd floor. We're good. I'm where I need to be. Has everybody got that? Left, right. Then, or you can be the person like my kids. I push that button about 17 times.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, you would still do it too.
Well, no, I
All right.
I
Thank you for letting me use your foreheads. Thank you. Okay, so as a button. So I think we know how to plot. Let's just practice. Let's just practice a couple. I know it's basic maybe for some of you, but it's good practice. Okay, so let's start here. Somebody you guys go ahead and tell me what that point right there. Go ahead and write it on your board, please. So everybody listen. So again, this is me at the hospital front doors. I step into the hospital. I'm going to need to take 4 steps to the right. Then I finally walk into the elevator, and then I'm going to go up to the 6th floor. That would be the 6th floor. Everybody got that? Okay, let's do another one. Here we go. Here's another one. Go ahead and write that one on your board. And I'm right here. I'm taking 6 steps to the left. I'm going 1 up. The one that tells me how far to go left would be -6. The second number then would go up 1 floor. Okay, let's do another real fast. Let's do, I don't like that one. I'm going to do, let's do this one right here. Go ahead real quick. Okay, so again, I would take 3 steps to the left. I would go down to -2. Therefore, my point in parentheses would be -3, -2. Very basic. Now, I'm going to do another one. We'll do this one together. We know that would be 5 what? -4. Are we all clear on that? Now, I'm going to give these names. I'm going to call this point A. I'm going to call this point E for the Emmas in the room. I'm going to call this, no, I'm not. I lied. Don't listen to that. I'm going to call this point C. That's a D. Okay, I'm going to call this point C, and I'm going to call this point B. Okay? What I want you guys to do right now, I want to know in which quadrant, no, that's not what I'm saying. Which point is in quadrant number 2? Quad 2, right on your board, right on your board. Which coordinate is in quadrant number, okay, good. That's really good, okay? This right here is quadrant number 2, right here. It's kind of weird, because wouldn't you guys think that it would be 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah.
You'd think that, but that is incorrect. Remember, just like I showed you in the video, we call this quadrant number 1, and I usually show with a Roman numeral. Normally that's the proper notation. But if you think about it, isn't that where you see all your bar graphs and line graphs and things like that?
That's fine.
Yeah, this is quadrant number 2. This would be quadrant number 3. This would be quadrant number 4. Do you think you need to know that for the test tomorrow?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's right on there. You just have to be able to know which point is in which quadrant. You got to know the quadrants. Now, real quick here, before I go any farther, I'm going to take these points off. I'm just going to talk about one real quick thing here. Okay? What are all the coordinates in this quadrant? Quadrant number 1. Are they all positive, positive, negative, negative, positive, negative, negative, positive? What are they? Yes? Do you agree they're always going to be positive, positive? Okay, somebody tell me what quadrant 2 then would be, Hope. Negative, positive. What are all of them going to be in quadrant number 3, Caroline? Negative, negative. And finally, quadrant number 4, Allison. It's going to not be what you just said. It's going to be positive, negative. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it's always going to be. It doesn't matter whether the point's way over here. It doesn't matter. It's always going to be a negative x and a positive y. Because you went left to the elevator, and then you went up positive floors. All right. Let me go. Okay, here we go. Right here. Now we got that. Now, the one thing I do want to talk about before we go any farther is I want to talk about this point right here and this point right here. What coordinate is this right here? Who can tell me what that is? Because this is where it gets a little, most people, or not most, but some people miss these. What do you guys think the mistake is then? if you know that it's 0, 5, what do you think what do you think my students in the past have made, or what do they call this? Yeah.
5.
5, 0. Okay. In this one over here, what do you think my students have called it in the past, Anna? 0, -6. But what is the real answer for this? -6, 0. Okay. So again, I'll highlight the correct one. That's that. And then, no, it's not. Jeez. This would be the correct one there. This would be the correct one there. These other ones are wrong. Remember, the first number always tells you how far to go left or right. So if you just go straight up, if I were using my hospital example, and I were doing this, what does that mean in the actual, like, if you're thinking about it in the real world? I walk in the front doors of the hospital, and what did I find? Right there in front of me.
The elevator part.
In the elevator, literally right in front of me? Because I didn't have to go to the left or to the right to find the elevator. I literally walked in the front door, bang, there's my elevator, and I pushed it. Okay? That's exactly what it means. Everybody got that?
Yep.
Okay, good. Whereas this one, somebody give me a description of what's happening with this one over here, as far as the hospital is concerned. Emma?
Right to your left.
Yeah, I went in the hospital, and I went to the left, but what did I find? Not the elevator. I wouldn't need to go to the elevator, did I?
Did you find the phone?
The room that I wanted was on that floor, so I didn't need the elevator. Does that make sense?
Oh.
Okay, good. All right, now that's the basics. I think I covered everything. Origin, X and Y axis, got to know all those things. Very important. Okay? Oops. Okay, bring back my X and Y. Okay. Now let's talk about reflections. Because I know that reflections were a bit of a struggle, but as I said at the beginning, you guys will think reflections are easy here in a moment. Trust me, you're going to think they're easy, but I need you to watch and not be coloring. Okay? So, with me. Here I'm going to put a point. Now, real quick, go ahead and tell me. Can somebody tell me what that point is right there? Yes, Rohan.
4.
That is the point 4, 5. That means I went 4 steps to the right, 5 floors up. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, I need to reflect this. We're going to figure out where I got to reflect this. Okay? It can either be, there's a lot of different things. I mean, you're going to get into older grades, and you're going to be reflecting over crazy stuff. So, but right now, this is basic. We are reflecting over one of the two, the y-axis or the x-axis. You're going to reflect over those. Okay? So we're going to start here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to reflect this over the x-axis. So the directions would say, reflect point A. All right, so you're used to seeing them. Reflect A over the x-axis. Everybody got that? So, real quick, I want everybody to take 20 seconds. I want you to do this on your board right now. Ready? You're all going to just draw like a cross. Like it's just representing the coordinate plane, okay? You don't have to put numbers or anything. You're just drawing a cross. I want everybody right now to put a dot where they think the reflected point A will go. So, most of you, well, I saw 2 things. Let me show you the 2 things I saw. I'll do them both in blue. I'll show you what I saw. I saw this one right here, and then I saw this one. Okay? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This one is a reflection too. This one is also a reflection. Okay? Remember the question, remember on the notes when I drew that big blob, and I said, yep, there's the water. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, you got to think about it. If I'm standing here, if I'm standing here like this, at the edge of the water, what's going to be the farthest into the center of the water? What part of my body? Yeah. My head. And it's going to look something like this, right? Isn't that what it's going to look like, guys? So that part right there, what you're seeing right, that part right there, guys, that is the same thing as the x or the y-axis. It's the reflection spot. It's what's being reflected over. The edge of the water is where that reflection is starting. That is why your feet, if you could really do this, your feet would almost be touching right there. You guys agree with that? Everybody got that? So when it asks you to reflect over the x or reflect over the y, you have to first of all be able to identify which one's which. You got to know which one the x is and which one the y is. Does everybody understand that? Okay, so going back here, let me bring back my dots. I didn't mean to. Get rid of all that. Okay, there's my points. Now, since this is the x, and what I like to do, I don't think I did this on the video, is sometimes I will draw a person on here even. Just like the water question. Okay, so I'm drawing this guy and his feet are touching the water. Again, right here, is this my edge of the water? Agreed?
Yes.
Yeah. So if I'm reflecting there, I'm saying the water's the x-axis. So is it going to go over there all of a sudden? No. That would be reflecting over the what? That would be reflecting over the y. Now, if you want to draw his head and say, well, how tall is he? How tall is my guy right here?
4 and 5.
He's 5 units tall. So how many tall is he going to be down here? 5, but obviously it's below 0, so it would be negative 5. We know we can't have negative height, but if you think about it in terms of absolute values, the distance to 0 is 5 either way. You guys all understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what point would this be real quick?
Negative 5.
4.
4 negative 5.
Okay, and what did I reflect over this one? What am I reflecting over? The y. Can somebody give me what point this would be then? Emma?
Negative 4.
Negative 4, 5.
I want you guys for 30 seconds. I want you to think about the relationship that you're seeing between all these x values and the relationship between all the y's in these reflections. Take 30 seconds to think about it. As I go here. Okay, so I'm going to make a little bit of a statement. I want you guys to just agree with me or disagree with me, okay? Everybody please listen to this. Now, I don't want you to memorize what I'm about to tell you, but it makes sense. When I reflected over the x-axis, so I went from that to that, I did reflect over the x there, right? Would you all agree if I said when you reflect over the x-axis, the x will stay the exact same? Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Look at it. Would we agree?
Yeah.
Did the x change?
No.
Did it move right or left at all?
No.
No. And then would you also agree that it would just be the opposite y? Hey.
Yeah.
Would it just be the opposite y?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say that again. When I'm reflecting over the x-axis, would you agree that the x does not change?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm reflecting over the x stays the same.
Yeah.
And then what happens to the y? It's just the
Opposite.
opposite. Okay. Now I'm going to make that same statement the other way. So if I said when I reflect over the y-axis, I would say blank stays the same. What would stay the same?
The 5.
Which is the
Y-axis.
y value. The y. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
And the x would be the what? Opposite. So when you're reflecting over the x won't change. You'll just use the opposite y. When you're reflecting over the y, you'll just use the opposite x. Like I said, I don't want you to memorize that because I think it might confuse you. But I just want you guys to see. Does that make sense though?
Yes.
Think about it. If you're just reflecting over the y, going from right here to right here, is it going to move up or down at all?
No.
So it makes sense the y is going to stay the same, right?
Yes.
Let's do some practice of this. Does that help, guys?
Yeah.
All right. Oh gosh, something happened.
Okay.
And Mimeo help. Okay. I'll need help. Okay. Wow. All right. Okay. Here you go. Come on, today. All right. Here you go. I'm going to give you a point here. Here's what I want you guys to do. Follow instructions. This is going to be your point right here. What I would like everybody to do is I would like you to reflect over the y-axis. First thing I want you to do, guys, hold on, is I want you to draw the little cross, just the two like number. I want you to put the point where you think it would go, and then tell me the coordinate. Go. Okay? So I'm looking at this, again, you got to know which one the x and which one the y is. So that's kind of the whole importance here. So find a way to memorize that, because I don't like using the word memorize very often in math, because math is not a memorized thing. It's a skill thing, something you have to practice. You got to understand how to do it, not what it is. Right? Make sense?
Yep.
Knowing which one x and which one y, that is a memorizing thing. Okay? So when I look at this, I got to know if that says y-axis, then I'm going to be reflecting right there. Right? Now that should tell you that if we're using the water example, if that doesn't confuse you too much, I don't think it does. Most people say they actually can understand it. Imagine this is a big water over here. Okay? If this right here is the edge of the water right there, and I drew my guy standing here, a little thick, okay? If I drew that guy right there, then think about it. He would be over here now, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys agree with that, though?
Yeah.
So you got to understand that wherever it's reflecting, it's going to go to the opposite of that. Okay? Some of you are drawing it up here. That would be reflecting over the x-axis. Is that making sense? Are we getting this a little bit better now?
Yeah.
So, what point is this, first of all? What point is it? Yes?
That point is -4, negative 7.
-4, -7. Since this is my edge of the water, it's not going to move up or down, and then all you got to do is think, okay, well, if I know that it's that far from my water or my y-axis, then it's going to remain that far. It's just going to be on the other side. So a lot of you guys are doing this. This is what I want you guys to get away from. A lot of you are counting 1, 2, 3, and you're like stopping right there, and you're saying 3, and then you're going over here and saying, yep, my point's right there. It's not about counting. I want you guys to understand that if you are ever reflecting a point like this one, you're going to have 3 possible choices. Here they are. This point right here. There's only 3 things you could put. You could have +4, +7. You could have -4, +7. Or you could have -4. Or no, what am I? 4, -7. What am I? You could have 4, -7. Do you guys see where I'm getting those? So basically, I took the same number. I just did the opposites of those numbers. Do you guys see that? So I either did the opposite, 4 and 4. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So it's one of those 3. So it's not about counting. It's about just thinking about it and saying, okay, I know it's going to be over here, and if I know that I'm reflecting over the y is not going to change, right?
Yes.
And then I'm going to use the opposite x. So I know that's going to be over 4 down to -7. Are we understanding this?
Yeah.
4, -7. Let's do another one. Remember, I want you guys to get away from counting. I want you to be more about the thought of opposites and all that. Okay? Let's do another. We're going to do this point right. Maybe. Okay? Right about here. No, here. There's my point. Okay, right there. And I want everybody to reflect over the x-axis. Oh, spelled it wrong. X-axis. Now, remember, start here. Start with your little grid and then tell me where it would be. Then do the coordinate. Okay? Everybody listening? Okay, now, the one thing that I'm seeing when you guys are doing these is a lot of you, I think there was a few of you still, you were putting it here. Some of you, or not there actually, I'm off one. Some of you are putting it right there. Okay? And that would be reflecting over the y-axis, correct? So that mistake you're going to have to clear up. You're just going to have to know which one's x and which one's y. But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing some of you, you know it's up here. You know it's up here, but then I'm watching you put 9, 1 on as your coordinate. 9, 1 would be over here, wouldn't it, guys? Remember, first number tells us left to right. The second number always tells us up and down. Have we got that? Let's do another one because I think we're still struggling just a bit. Some of us. If you're not, it's good practice regardless. Okay? I'll do this one right. There you go. I need you to reflect this. Reflect over y. And I want you to start again with your little coordinate grid. And just tell me where about the dot would go. Guys, the first thing I would want you to do is always, first and foremost, just write the original coordinate. Like I know that that's 8, 6, or negative 8, 6, sorry. Okay, let's start there because then you know it's going to be some form of 8 and 6 in that order. It just could be negatives and positives mixed up. Oh, good. Okay, guys, again, it's all about identifying what it says. I wrote y-axis. So right here, I know that's the y-axis. So you should already know if this is the water over here, this is the edge of the water right there, that's the edge of the water. That means the rest of this is water over here. Obviously, my reflection is going to go into the water. You guys all get that? So some of you are just either you're confusing the fact which one's X and which one's Y, or you're just not thinking about it. I'm not sure which one's the correct one there as far as what you're doing. Okay? So I know that since, here's the deal, guys. Everybody look, watch how I do this. Watch how I do this. If I know that it's reflecting to quadrant 1, I know that all coordinates or ordered pairs in quadrant 1 are positive, positive. Do we agree with that? So can I just look and say, yep, I'm going to make that 8, make that 6? Can I do that? Do you understand how I did that?
Yeah.
Because I know it's going to be those numbers, it just might be the opposites. And in this case, it was the opposite x, it was not the opposite y because we were reflecting over the y-axis. Let's do another one, see if we can all get this time. Okay, here we go. Okay, now I'm going to do this one right here. Okay, the first thing we should do is we should plot what point it is. What point is that, guys? Negative 3, 7. There you go. Now we're going to reflect over the x-axis. First of all, start with the point. Okay, everybody look up here now. Watch how I do this. Okay, everybody take a look. You guys are getting better now because we know it's x-axis, so we know, oh, right there's my edge of the water. So I think you all are agreeing that it's down here. Okay? Now instead of counting, okay, 1, 2, 3. Instead of counting, think about it. What are all the coordinates down here in quadrant number 3? Negative, negative. So all I have to do is take the x. Is that going to stay negative? Yes. And what's going to happen to the y? It's going to be the opposite y. Are we understanding how I'm doing that?
Oh, yeah.
So I want you guys to, I don't want you to be counting because sometimes when you count these, you guys struggle with this because you guys count from like, because where these negatives are written, some of you start thinking that's the axis right there. It's not. Let's do another. We're going to do another until we get everybody to get it right this time. I know, this will be the last one. We're going to do this one right here. And we are going to reflect over the y-axis. Go. Last one here I'm doing. Okay, so we know that this is 3, 1. Everybody watch how I do this again. Watch one more time. We see that we're reflecting over the y, so there's my edge of my water. So I think all of you are realizing that it's going to go over there because it's over the y-axis. Down here, you can see that would be the x. The x is the horizontal, the y is the vertical. Are we understanding this?
Yeah.
Now, without, I mean, you could count. You could say, okay, it's 1, 2, 3 away from there, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3 away. That's fine, but without doing that, what are all numbers going to be in the quadrant number 2 here? They're always going to be what? What? Emma?
Negative, positive.
Negative, positive. So I'm going to just look at this, and I'm going to convert them both to whatever it says it should be. So I have 3 and 1 was the original one. So that's going to become negative 3, and we know the 1's going to stay the same because it's already positive. All numbers, all coordinates in quadrant number 3 are always going to be negative, positive.